ஆன்சாக் டே நினைவு நிகழ்வு சிட்னியில் நடைபெற்றது. இந்த நிகழ்வில் தமிழ் சமூகத்தின் பல அமைப்புகள் ஒன்றிணைந்து ஆன்சாக் வீரர்களுக்கு மரியாதை செலுத்தின. நியூ சவுத் வேல்ஸ் மாநில தமிழ் சமூகத்தின் ஏற்பாட்டில் இடம்பெற்ற இந்த நினைவு நிகழ்வில் ஆஸ்திரேலிய இராணுவத்தை சேர்ந்த பிரசாந்த் சண்முகன் 2ஆம் உலகப் போரின் போது தமிழர்களின் பங்கு குறித்து பேசினார். இந்த நிகழ்வில் பல சமூக அமைப்புகளும் மற்றும் ஆஸ்திரேலிய தேர்தல் பிரதிநிதிகளும் கலந்து கொண்டனர். இந்த நிகழ்வின் முக்கிய அம்சமாக கேபினெட் செயலாளர் டாக்டர் ஆண்ட்ரூ சார்ல்டன் அவர்கள் முக்கிய உரையை வழங்கினார். 1ஆம் உலகப் போரின் போது ஆஸ்திரேலிய மற்றும் நியூசிலாந்து படைகள் நடத்திய முதல் பாரிய இராணுவ நடவடிக்கையின் ஆண்டு நிறைவை குறிக்கும் நாளாக ஆன்சாக் டே கொண்டாடப்படுகிறது.
Good morning. I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Darug people, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I acknowledge Minister Chris Bowen and Minister Michelle Rowland and all the other representatives and distinguished guests. I also acknowledge our veterans and service men and women, including Eason and Prasanth and others. And I acknowledge all the community leaders and all the friends of the Tamil community who've joined us here today. On Anzac Day each year, we reflect on the service of Australian men and women in military operations carried out in our country's name. We recognise more than 100,000 Australian servicemen and women who have lost their lives. We honour the values invested in the original Anzacs: loyalty, selflessness, courage. And we honour every generation since, in every uniform, in every conflict. And today we particularly acknowledge the Australian servicemen and women who are on duty at this very moment in the Middle East. They are continuing a tradition that began on the shores of Gallipoli 111 years ago. The tradition of Australians answering the call of duty in places most of us will never see. And that tradition, the willingness to stand shoulder to shoulder with others far from home in the defence of something larger than oneself, is what binds every generation of Australians in uniform to the first Anzacs who waded ashore at Gallipoli in April 1915. And it's what binds them to the soldiers of other nations who fought alongside them. And among those comrades in the First World War were soldiers from around the world, soldiers from Ceylon, troops from Madras, Tamil-speaking soldiers from Pondicherry who travelled to the trenches of Verdun under the French flag, Indian troops from the 29th Brigade who fought alongside the Anzacs. The bond forged there was real. And it's one of the reasons the Tamil community stands here today, not as strangers to the Anzac tradition, but as inheritors of it. And this community knows, as few communities do, what war costs. The Tamil community carries memories that need no explanation. Mothers who search for sons who never came home. Villages burned, homes lost. The long journey across oceans in boats that should have never had to sail. When we speak today on Anzac Day of courage, of endurance, of sacrifice, these are not abstractions to the people gathered here today. They are the language of lived experience for many in the Tamil community. And perhaps that's why Anzac Day resonates so deeply in this community. Because Tamil people understand in their bones what the Anzacs understood. That freedom is never given, it is defended. It is paid for. And it must be remembered or it will be lost again. Today we also reflect on the freedoms that service and sacrifice have won for us. The original Anzacs would, I believe, be proud of the country that they fought for. Not because we're a perfect country today, but because we've become a country where people from every corner of the world live in harmony and peace together. A country of freedom and opportunity. That was worth fighting for then. It is worth cherishing now. And it's worth defending in every generation for as long as this country endures. To the Anzacs of 1915 and to every generation since, We remember you. We thank you, lest we forget.
We now call upon Prashant Shanmugan, a reservist officer in the Australian Army, a founding patron of the Special Operations Engineer Regiment Association, who has helped its foundation shape its identity and champion the regiment's legacy and its people. On this Anzac Day, we are honoured to have Prashant with us, an Australian Tamil who understands in both principle and practice what it means to serve.
Vanakkam. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prashant. It is a 9-letter Sanskrit word which means supreme peace. My family name is Shanmugan, a 9-letter Tamil name which means the god of war. So essentially you can say I embody both war and peace, perhaps a fitting name for Anzac Day. It is an honour and privilege to be here today to deliver this Anzac address to commemorate the 111th anniversary of the first Anzac Day in 1915. Ladies and gentlemen, I was born in Sri Lanka. My family migrated to Australia on Boxing Day 1986. So this year we will mark 40 wonderful, peaceful, glorious years in the land down under. When I arrived in Australia, I did not speak a word of English. I only knew Tamil and Sinhala. It is a testament to the greatness of the Australian public education system and the dedication to the teachers of both Homebush Public and Homebush Boys High School, and to my former tutor, the late and the great Mrs. T. Malvahanam, that I can today stand before you and deliver this address in English. Throughout my school years, I was asked to give the Anzac address, and both my brothers and I marched in the Anzac Day parade in the city during the respective years we served as school captain. One of the great hallmarks of Australia is that my family and I were not required to deny our origins in order to avail ourselves of the best that this nation has to offer. Thank you to the Consortium of Tamil Associations for the kind invitation. And thank you for the great work the Consortium does in bringing together the various linguistic, cultural, musical, and spiritual Tamil organizations together. Being an Australian Tamil is not just about speaking Tamil, which we know is the oldest living language in the world. It is something far deeper. It is cultural. It is emotional. It is spiritual. It is more than an ethno-linguistic group. It is an identity born in antiquity, disciplined by history, tempered by war and migration, and now finding its renaissance in Australia. In the 2021 census, more than 95,000 people in Australia reported speaking Tamil at home. But that figure understates the true size of our community. It does not fully capture second and third generation Australians of those who identify as Tamil and by heritage but speak another language at home. Taking this into account, a more realistic estimate based on research is around 200,000 Australians of Tamil origin. I would like to acknowledge the Consortium's president, Mr. Vairamuthu Manomohan, in recognition of his decades of service to the community and his enduring commitment to philanthropy and humanitarian work. As a cardiologist, you tend to the physical heart, but it is the spiritual heart of this community that you uplift. So in behalf of the Tamil community, we thank you for your service, Doctor. The military history book, The Guns of August, opens with the death of King Edward VII. His funeral in 1910 brought together 9 kings and representatives of 70 nations in what was described as the greatest assembly of royalty and rank ever gathered in one place. It was a moment of extraordinary pomp and pageantry. But 4 years later, those very kings were at war with one another. Some would lose their thrones, some would lose their empires, and all will bear witness to the unimaginable sacrifice of their subjects. That image of unity dissolving so quickly into catastrophe is a reminder of how fragile peace is and how swiftly the world can change. It is also a reminder why days like today matter. The price of peace is eternal vigilance. Today is not a glorification of war. It is a commitment to peace. It is a commemoration to all men and women of Australia who have served and to those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in all wars. It is a dedication to the legacy of courage, the value of selflessness, and the spirit of mateship. My family has understood those truths for more than a century. Long before I put on a uniform, my family was already contributing to the defense value and to the defense of the values that we hold dear. During the height of the First World War, my great-grandfather, Sityawan Ganividi Pillai, a prominent Jaffna Tamil industrialist and philanthropist in British Malaya, which is now Malaysia, wanted to fulfill what he saw as his patriotic duty. Along with a group of fellow Jaffna Tamils, he gifted a fighter plane to the British government for the effort in the Great War. In 1915, the cost of that aircraft, £2,250, was remitted to London with one request, that the plane be named Jaffna as a homage to the birthplace of those Jaffna Tamils in British Malaya. In today's terms, that contribution to equate to roughly 5 million Australian dollars, a measure of the scale and significance of the gift. The 2-seater FE-2B biplane, the Jaffna, was gifted on the 22nd of December 1915 and allocated to number 25 Squadron of the Royal Flying Corps, the forerunner to the Royal Air Force. She carried a pilot and a gunner and was used as both a fighter and a bomber, where the gunner would throw bombs aimed at targets below. And here is something remarkable. Whenever the Jaffna was shot down or crashed, the Royal Flying Corps would bestow that name upon a replacement aircraft. So there was always a fighter plane called the Jaffna in the skies over Europe until the guns fell silent when the war ended in November 1918. And I'm led to believe that a replica of that aeroplane sits today at the RAAF Base Williams Museum in Point Cook, Victoria. Patriotism, a concern for others, and a sense of duty are traits that have done deep in my family for generations. My grandfather, Dr. Chalvadre, and his brother-in-law, Dr. Suppaya, were medical doctors in the Second World War and were active in the Ceylon Medical Corps. My grandfather would later become a prominent physician, and Dr. Suppaya became medical superintendent of Jaffna Hospital. Generations of my family have donned the uniform or contributed to the defense of the values we hold in our own respective ways. That inheritance shapes how I think about Anzac Day and what I believe to those who have served. We rightly focus on the fallen, we recite the names, we lay the wreaths, we observe the silence, and we should. But we must equally be attentive to those who return, because the wounds of war are not always visible, and service does not end when deployment does. The Australian band Red Gum captured something of this truth in the song I Was Only 19, written by John Schumann. He sings about a young soldier from Vietnam asking his doctor why he still cannot sleep, why certain sounds send him a chill through him. These invisible wounds are real and they endure. So more attention needs to be paid to post-traumatic stress disorder and to the other hidden scars of war. We need to do far more as a nation, as communities, as individuals, to look after our servicemen and women when they come home. Because to truly honor the fallen, we must look after the returned. Today we will recite the words, "At the going down of the sun and in the morning we will remember them."